you're trying to scale or build, you need to have processes, systems, boundaries, rules, regulations, and everything else.
You've got to just absolutely go all in, love what you do, give an incredible amount of energy into it, and deliver for the customer. I had a message sent to me on Father's Day from someone that I actually sacked, saying that you were one of the top 4 influences in my life. I ruined his life.
It's one of the best presents that badly wrapped.
You know, what are your struggles, Russell? Work-life balance. He said, I struggle with that. But what I then did is I made work my life and life my work.
I remember when I was an area manager, I was given a BlackBerry. I remember it ruined so many holidays.
How coachable are you? If someone doesn't want to receive and act on the good stuff that we're going to give them, they're going to fail.
If you're constantly in a state of distraction, you're not focused. If you're not focused, you're really not doubling down on the thing that you could. I'm a big believer in the fact that you can move on from your mistakes faster if you own them, right?
Every person has had a setback,
So
don't worry about it.
So what?
Don't worry about it. Go again and go again.
Welcome to the newest episode of Estate Agent Showdown, and I'm joined by the wonderful Russell Jervis.
Thank you very much, Matt. Lovely to be here.
Fresh back from the World Cup.
Yes, don't know if I'm fresh yet, but I'm back.
Quickly then, just on that, because this will probably go out in 3 or 4 weeks. We've just beat Croatia.
Yep.
We've got the game tonight against Ghana.
Okay.
I want your prediction for England.
Oh, well, we've just had a prediction from, what was his name? Roberto, wasn't it? Give some
he gave
product
us a nice
placement.
Coffee,
yeah.
Absolutely.
So he's saying 3-1. I was watching the rest of football this morning, watching Joe, when I was on the stepper, Joe Cole, Harry Maguire and Gary Lineker. They were all uber confident. Lineker went for a resounding 4-0, and I'm going to go with Gary.
I'm going to go with Gary? Yeah, I think he's off with Gary.
I'm off with Gary. I can't see us scoring against Ghana, conceding. But yeah, I think we'll score some goals. I think we're on a roll. It's coming home.
You got it. It's coming
home.
home. Come on. Yeah. Well, let's come home to Estate Agency.
Brilliant.
And obviously, for those who don't know you, you're the MD of Rayner Personnel.
Yes. Yep.
Who are one of the leading recruitment companies in the UK for estate agents. So we're going to talk a little bit around that today, as we should. But also you were in the corporate world, or say independent corporate. So Spicerhaart, back in the day.
That's the tricky one, isn't it? A corporate or an independent? They were an independent business who had to operate within a corporate structure,
That's
I would
frowned
suggest.
on a lot, though, isn't it? An independent life is the fact that we don't want to be too corporate. You've probably heard that over the years.
Time and time again. Yes.
Yeah, if you're trying to scale or build,
you need
to have processes, systems, boundaries, rules, regulations, and everything else.
Yeah. What's that? You have the process of McDonald's, the entrepreneurism of Virgin, and the IT of Apple or something, isn't it? Something like that you have the perfect model. I can remember seeing it many years ago.
Well, I think that's a really good point that you're making, because the industry's in a really funny place. I don't know how you're seeing it, but looking from where I sit with the emergence of the self-employed model, how that's literally just going from strength to strength in terms of numbers of people joining. There's also quite a few people coming out of it after a short period of time. What I'd like to talk about today at some point is what's attracting people to that, other than the obvious, but also what's the biggest reason why people are leaving, and what statistics have you got around that? Do you know any?
Okay.
Well, maybe we'll come back to that. I wanted to ask you some other questions.
Give me a quiz, Matt, first of all. You didn't tell. No prep, Russell. Just rock up.
We'll just make some stats up, because 96% of stats are made up anyway. So I'll put a question down for you. I don't normally bring loads of questions, so I may look at these, I may not. But, Russell, you've been in agency for how long now?
So I started when I was 18, so I'm 57. So what's that? 39 years. That worries me.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So, but I left mainstream estate agency 6 years ago. So I left Spicerhaart at the end of 2019.
Before the big COVID.
Just before COVID, yeah. So I left in December 2019, I was put on garden leave, and effectively left in March 2020. So started with Josh in June 2020, and looked at various other options in between that. But yeah, I left mainstream estate agency employment then, but I've continued to mentor, support, and coach a selective group of estate agents that reached out to me, that me and Josh felt were going to be a good fit for us. And after all those years, I didn't want to just throw away my estate agency manual, so to speak. So I wanted to keep my hand in. So it's a very interesting piece around the self-employed. I mean, several people that used to work for me, not for me, within the same business as me. Linda Stringer, Rachel Bedford, just to name two people that I see regularly doing incredibly well in the self-employed arena. Sarah Walters over in Wales with was Isla Alexandra and now TA UK. I mean, she's absolutely flying. So and then through my networking in the property, the recruitment world, I get to meet Sam Cerrone and numerous other people, Scott Gunn, and I think, wow, incredibly how well they are doing. I see lots of incredible independent estate agents, Harrison Wood. I think you've had Shane on the podcast. They've just opened a new high street office. They're wedded to the high street. On Property Mart 1, just before I went over to the States. I've gone all American just to go into the States. Yeah. I was talking to Shane. I was talking to Perry and Spencer from Gilbert and Rose.
Yeah, they've done brilliantly, haven't they?
And they are absolutely knocking it out of the park in volume, and the way they're running their business. The culture that they've got is incredible. Palmer and Partners in Chelmsford just opened 6 months ago. Take Chelmsford by storm. So I'm seeing great self-employed estate agents doing really, really well.
Great independents.
And I'm seeing great high street independents doing really, really well. I think I met with the managing partner of a 9-office network yesterday in the culture area, Ian Fry, doing incredibly well. Before I went away, I met with Helen, CEO of the Connells Group, and Chris Rossendale, and they're talking about all the great things they've got going on. So it feels to me, and you'll know this, driving through St Neots as I sort of came to follow your instructions to find the car park, and seeing the old Hart office there, Thomas Morris shining on the corner, Connells, and as I drove through, and then I thought I'd better go and have a quick look at your office before I parked up. It reminded me, each of them have got various numbers of people in.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a guess that your market leader in the St Neots location, Thomas Morris, are pretty strong there, because
probably neck and neck.
As I looked through the windows,
they list really well. And I think for us, we changed our model slightly a couple of years ago by, I suppose, reacting to the market. If you're just listing and not selling enough, then it becomes a very, very difficult thing to sustain, because obviously you're disappointing more people than making happy.
Yes.
So we're very tight on the fact that we want to list the right houses with the right clients and deliver the right results.
Service, yeah.
But, I think that definitely the two are sort of side by side.
But you kind of get that vibe as you just look outside.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to be, whether you're going to be a self-employed agent or you're going to be an independent with a high street, you've got to just absolutely go all in, love what you do, give an incredible amount of energy into it, and deliver for the customer. Deliver those expectations.
Energy is like one of the words I would use for you.
Thank you. That's the coffee.
No, do you know what? I've known you for a short while, probably a few years, and getting to know you, what I'm always impressed by is your positivity and your energy that you bring. And then I overheard Shane on, I think, Simon Gates' podcast. If you haven't listened to it, I think he gave you a nice shout out on there as well.
I think I played it 50 times now.
Yeah,
so.
right. Why not?
No, he did give me a lovely shout out, and it's really very kind of him. And that story is one that I'm getting told several times. I had a message sent to me on Father's Day from someone that I actually sacked. I actually had to sack that person. And it was a horrendous situation. I thought a lot of him. The whole business thought a lot of him. We had to say goodbye to him. And he wrote to me on Father's Day saying that you were one of the top 4 influences in my life. And I'm thinking, and I ruined his life.
Well, you didn't though.
Well, although for that moment I ruined his life.
Yeah, but isn't that
when he left his car at Colchester and had to get the train all the way back to a location a long way away?
But there's a great quote, isn't there? Some of the best presents are badly wrapped.
Wrapped, yeah. Dangerous roads lead to beautiful places.
Well,
as
literally,
Tom Panos will tell you.
I'm guessing that he had to have the humility or the understanding or the emotional intelligence to actually write that to you.
Yeah,
says to me that he's probably doing well.
Oh, he's doing very well. He's learned from his mistakes.
There you go.
Which is a great thing. It's a great story, isn't it?
I think it's a brilliant story. And just talking, because when everyone knows what you do that's probably listening to this, watching this, and I think one of the things I wanted to kind of understand really is about you've spent years helping people build their careers in our industry, and obviously you've had a glittering one yourself. But looking back, what have you learned about building a life? Because what I see, you've got, when I've been around you over the last 3 or 4 years, you're as dedicated to your life as you are your career.
Yeah. Good point. I'm massive. My wife, maybe you should get my wife on here, and she would completely disagree with me. But I definitely sacrificed far too much of my home life, I would say, particularly around children's school plays, etc., when they were young. In the early days of Spice McCall, Spicerhaart, it was you didn't leave till anybody left, and that was something I wrestled with continually. That I felt I'm not quite making home life happy, and I'm probably not making work life happy, but I'm trying to make everyone around me happy. And then we did a course with Clive Woodward. It's I don't know if I go on too long for this, or drop too many names.
No, go for it.
Every time that I went on holiday, I would always read an autobiography. I took a lot of inspiration from autobiographies, and England had won the World Cup. This was around 2005, and I read his book Winning. And I was hooked. I was in Tenerife, Park Santiago 3, my mother-in-law, father-in-law, and I was quoting things every night over the over dinner that I read that day. And I just thought, my God, this is so good. There's so much good stuff in here. That when I got back, we had done some coaching and had a guy called Adrian Webster speak at several of our conferences. He wrote a book called The Polar Bear Pirates and Their Quest to Reach Fat City, which is all around, have a goal, and there'll be loads of people that get in your way and getting there. Bloaters, energy zappers, all these people that will knock you off course. And we loved it. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic, and that gave me the sort of energy, drive, and the first experience of there are always people going to knock you down. Always people that will knock you down. But if you just keep following on that path, on your goal, you know where you want to go. Just follow your dreams. And I think I'll come back to the Woodward. My dream when I started in a estate agency was to become a senior neg. If I could get to be a senior neg, that was going to be a great experience.
Yeah.
Suddenly I was a manager, then I was an area manager, then I was a financial services director, then I was a regional managing director, then I was a managing director. And every day was like, wow, I haven't gone to managing director school. I'm going to a school of life, and what an opportunity I've got. I left school with nothing, and look what I'm doing now. So I reached out to Adrian and said, Adrian, you work with Clive Woodward. I read his book on holiday. You work with him in photocopying. So Adrian and Clive Woodward were at Sir Clive, were at Xerox at the same time.
Oh, really?
I said, do you think he would do a keynote speech at our conference at all at some point, or would do some mentoring with us? And lots of my team that worked with me and my regional team were very sporty, were into that kind of self-development and the culture of team and winning. So there was lots of synergies in there. So he said, well, I found out for you, Russell, you need to talk to his wife, Lady Jane. And so me and Steve Sparrow, I think you know Steve, one day we drove off to Marlow and met Lady Jane in the hotel just as you go over the bridge at Marlow on the left, not Harlow, Marlow on the left-hand side, told us what we wanted to do. She then set up us to meet Clive at the Grove. We met him there. And he came on board and did a winning program for our leadership team. And we went to Pennyhill Park at where the England rugby train. We did it all there. We did a whole session on going right through what an elite performance looks like. And he said to me, when I once had a coffee with him, he said, what are your struggles, Russell? Because everyone wants to find out what your struggles are. And I said, work-life balance. I've struggled with a work-life balance. And he said, I struggle with that. But what I then did is I made work my life and life my work. I just blended the two, and I stopped wrestling. And I actually found that I haven't got it right, but actually taking that philosophy of I'll just blend the two and, talk to my kids or not. I remember Jackie White, they'd be on the phone. Jackie would be ringing in. I'd be taking them somewhere. They'd all be, hello, Jackie, how are you? And she'd be hello to them. Then she'd give me the weekly figures or whatever it may be. But I'd rather deal with that then and at that moment. And I stopped wrestling with myself.
I think that's such a powerful message, actually, because I've been on that similar journey where, do you remember the Blackberries?
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was an area manager, I was given a BlackBerry and I didn't even want to have an email address. I was so anti-tech and all of those different things. But I remember it ruined so many holidays.
Yeah.
Because I'd be away and I'd find it hard to switch off. And I think there's a lot that I'm taking away just from that blended mindset, which is, first of all, before I answer it, so how did you blend the two worlds? Because you were in a...
Well, I didn't. I remember the first trip I went to Spain. I went to blended world when sort of technology was coming in, and it was you couldn't be faxed anymore or emails. That I remember taking my laptop and a modem and everything and dial up to this villa that we'd borrowed in Spain from a friend of a friend of a friend, and setting up my laptop and setting up the modem, and it not working, and me getting all angsty. And then I thought, actually, no, I just don't need to be doing this. What I'll do is I'll check in twice a day. I just, if you need me, call me, or I'll check my emails twice a day, usually when the rest of the family would be having their siestas, so to speak. Yeah. But I didn't get it right. I still don't get it right now, but I fundamentally try to make sure, one, I tell everybody what I'm doing. I have zero secrets. So everybody knows where I am, what I'm doing, when I'm doing it. And I have an agreement with the franchisees at Rayner Personnel and with a lot of our clients that I will always get back to you within 24 hours. Don't worry, you don't need to chase me, but I'll always get back to you in 24 hours, hopefully sooner. And I find it much easier to clear something off than leave it for someone else to deal with, because really often it smoulders, it smoulders and smoulders. Yeah. And I tried lots of different things. My old PA, Sue Millhall, was fantastic, brilliant at helping me organise. She would take all my emails and put it into a read urgent information file. So running the business that I ran, I would just go and look at the urgent.
And what percentage of your emails were urgent?
Oh, it's very small.
It is, isn't it?
Very small, because we were getting stats and stats and stats and stats. So, and I've tried to be respectful of boundaries of other people. I really, really try not to trouble anybody when they're away. Yeah. And then respectfully, they don't trouble you when you're away. But it's much easier with 24 franchisees than it is with 267 offices that we had at the peak. But I didn't get it right, Matt. And if Mrs. Jervis was here, she would say...
my wife would say the same. One thing that I did used to do, and I often tussle with this, but coming back to one of your reasons about coming back to, so many emails and everything else, but I used to go away without any tech. 9 years where we'd have an average of 2 or 3 holidays a year, just after I started Gigs & Co, probably 2 years in. And I'd go away and I wouldn't be touched.
Yeah.
It'd take 24 hours, usually 48 hours before everything kind of left your head.
Yeah.
And I used to take a notebook and I'd fill a notebook up. Then eventually I was filling 2 or 3 notebooks up. Most of the time, not actually doing anything with the notes, but it was just a chance to just be creative and download and everything else. But it was a really good thing to do. And it was after COVID, I started slipping back when we started going away again, 2021, 2022. And I often think before I go away, should I take my phone? I'd literally leave everything.
Yeah.
And I'd leave a message, and somebody else would take the phone or whatever. And it was a really good boundary to have. However, the thought for 24 hours before coming home was, what have I got to face?
Yeah, the nerves.
Nerves, the butterflies. And then you'd find 600, 700, 800 emails, maybe 2 or 3, which were of any use.
Yeah.
But most of the time, people figured shit out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And I've just come back for the last 5 days. When every trip I go on is an experience, whether it be a long weekend in Aldeburgh, it's an experience. But I think for me, there's always been different degrees. We did a tour to the Far East, and I took my phone out to maybe take pictures, but just didn't want to even know what was going on anywhere else. Just trying. But when you run your own business as well, or I treated Spicerhaart as my own business.
I can see that. I can see that with you, that you put your heart and soul into stuff, which is why I was interested about how you managed that across your life. Because when you're an achiever and you're someone that wants to help people, and I want to go back to one of your points earlier about maybe you give everybody everything, and maybe do you find sometimes that leaves you last in the queue?
Yeah, it did.
It did.
Yes. I'm very much moved myself.
Tell us about
the pecking order. Well, when you're looking after a team of, I think at the peak I had probably 15 direct reports. So, that does become you're the conduit for all their moans, groans, and issues. So you find yourself firefighting continually, which leaves very little time for you. And one of the things that helped me immensely was going on the Stephen Covey 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which I think, I was trying to remember what year I did it in. I've got the book all written out, and I'm going to guess that it was around about 2013, 2014. And that just taught me so much. It was a light bulb moment. If I'd done that course when I was 25, 26, 27, I think I would have dismissed it.
I mean, I've listened to the book, I've done the audio, everything there. There's so many great lessons in that, aren't there?
It's the toughest. I gave up on the book. I found the book so hard.
Yeah.
But the business invested in me for 3 days.
Incredible.
To go and spend time in London on the actual accredited course, and that changed so much for me. And I think then I invested in several of my team to go and do it, and I think it changed so much in them. For some of them, it's an Americanism. I don't want to do it. It's a bit like religion, isn't it? I think sometimes everybody finds something, and there's a time that you find it. And that was my religion. That was the evangelical moment of letting go of people. I used to worry about my team. I used to worry about my friends. I used to worry about family. And that left less time to worry about yourself. So we really did dig in, me and Sarah, into, look, let's worry about our circle of influence, and the circle of concern out there. There's nothing we can do about it, and it's a really hard piece that to understand that you cannot change some people. If they've got addiction, they've got this, they've got whatever they've got. You can tell them it's not a good idea, but the only person who can truly make that change is them. And it sounds so simple, but when you're in the eye of the hurricane.
Well, and I think sometimes when you're in the eye of the hurricane, if you don't mind me saying, in your innate purpose is trying to help someone, you really want to help them. So you're there for them. You want to help them see the light and everything else. But they have to be open-minded, right?
They have to. They have to want to receive.
They have to want to receive.
And one of the things we ask in the franchise business now with people coming to join us is, examples of how coachable are you? And I don't know if coachable is even a proper word, but it's look, we're going to be your business partners, and we're going to teach you, support you, coach you in what you need to do. How coachable are you? And give me examples of where you've been coached, where you've taken that seriously. Because if someone doesn't want to receive and act on the good stuff that we're going to give them, they're going to fail. And that's not what we want, because we're in a win-win. We're in a business partnership. So
I feel exactly the same about where we've just arrived now, and we're just about to push through with a completely different way of building a platform for agents in Cambridgeshire.
Yeah. But it's also the 7 habits 1, 2, and 3. I found I could really get, and I could get habit 7, which is sharpen the saw. Habits 4, 5, and 6. I'm still yet to master. But the whole begin with the mind, end in mind, put first things first. That really resonates.
Seek to understand.
With me. No, still struggle with that. I think it's habit 5, isn't it? You've got think, win-win, seek to understand, and I can't even remember the 6, but 7, sharpen the saw, and you know this. If you're fit, healthy, then and your best version of yourself, then you've got a really good chance of doing something really well.
Because you've hired in your time as an MD with your teams. Probably it's not going to be an exaggeration to say maybe thousands of people.
Yes, yeah.
And then since going on with Josh into Rayner, with the franchisees, but also with what you do and who you know, you must have done thousands of people again.
Yes.
In terms of hiring. Estate agency is not particularly difficult if you want to be successful.
No.
What is it that's stopping people? Because the movement in self-employed arenas where people are going into it and coming out of it quite quick, and in the employed estate agency business, is the turnover of people is still high. I know it's a sales business, but it's still quite high. I know I didn't prep you for stats, but you're hearing 40 to 50%, maybe around both of those.
Attrition.
Yeah.
Attrition is widely seen to be about 50%, I think, in the business world. I mean, I look at simplification over complication. In that I do a talk, which I've done for many years, and I talk about Sarah's wardrobe. So Sarah, my darling wife, she'll cringe for me calling her darling wife, but Sarah wardrobe stressed her out no end. Yeah, so she would regularly look at this wardrobe and just think, oh God, I can't find any clothes, I can't find this. But she would buy more clothes, and that would just add to the general stress. So one day over a weekend, she said, look, even sleeping in the same room as this wardrobe is stressing me out. So she took the bin bags to the wardrobe. I think we had some ridiculous number of bin bags, and it just gave her a complete release, a complete sort of pressure off of clarity of thinking. And I use that in an analogy for helping businesses or helping estate agents to just, you said it's a really simple business. If you are good at estate agency in this country, you are brilliant in the eyes of the public, because the bar is quite low, because the attrition is so high.
Yeah.
So if you keep things really, really simple, which is, I will do what I say I'm going to do when I say I'm going to do it, and then I'll add 1% more because I'll do it with a bit of extra, a little bit of emotional intelligence and a smile, and I'll give you time, and I won't be on my phone while I'm talking to you. I'll actually be present. I'll be there for you. Then you will get that back from clients, because clients' perceptions of estate agents is low. So if you can deliver a good level of service with a smile, and help them and really listen to why they're going on a journey they're going on, and help solve that problem, then I think you'll be successful. What I did as a business, we turned that into lateral thinking, which came from Clive Woodward in his book. He's got a big section on lateral thinking and a big section on the vertical thinking. And lateral thinking is approaching a problem in a way that, for example, if you're about to take over a branch, so we would do a new manager's induction course. So if you're about to take over a branch or you're about to buy a business, imagine here in this studio that we were taking the studio over. It's lovely as we see it right now because you've just done it. But if in 2 years' time we came in to take it over, we would take everything out of this studio and put it out in the courtyard there, and then only bring back in those things that were absolutely essential to make this studio effective or make a branch effective. And that included the people. So, if you've got people that are open to work on LinkedIn, are looking to make a move, are turning up late for work, aren't smart, aren't dressed properly, it doesn't matter how much you give them, they're not engaged. They're not engaged.
Do you think, sorry to cut across you there, you've just made me think of something which is one of the questions I've asked people over the years. And if you had to make everybody redundant today, they run a business, who would you rehire tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah.
It's that same premise of let's just clear it out first.
Same thing. Just take everything off. Sarah's wardrobe.
Who do we need back?
Yeah.
Who's in? Who's on the bus? Do you think today, because of the self-employed and the constant noise that people are seeing out there, that so many people are constantly looking at the next opportunity? They're not doubling down on the one that they've got.
Yeah, definitely. I think I saw it or listened to it on a podcast, or it might be Simon Gate, it might have been yours, around, fill out into the job you've got. You don't have to be successful. You don't have to move up the ladder.
My God, do you know, it's so true. Like, we've had people come to us and they're making progress, or they're starting to make, and then they're off.
Yeah.
There's another shiny thing going on over there. And more often than not, what happens is eventually that shiny thing wears off, and then there's another shiny thing coming in. And they tend to zigzag throughout their career rather than actually go in a straight line upwards. And I think there's a tendency sometimes for, I think, all of us as entrepreneurs as well, to think that the solutions are outside, but actually they're not. If you stay focused on where
I look at running a business like driving a car. I drive here today, you drive here today. You look forward.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
Yeah.
You look in your rearview mirror now and again just to see what's going on behind you, and you use your wing mirrors to look what's going on around you. If you think of, we're talking estate agency, so some people are absolutely obsessed with market share. What market share have we got? What have we got? For me, they're your wing mirrors. But if you spend all your time driving a car looking at your wing mirrors, you will crash. You'll just go round in circles. Whereas if you look at, what do we need? What do we need to do? What do we need to achieve? And you do that really, really well, better than anybody else. And just deliver what you say you're going to do, then I think you'll succeed. And just don't be wavered from it. And there's a lot of start in businesses, new shiny things.
By the way, going back to the guys that have come and gone from us, I've come and gone a number of times, right? I've been tempted to look at other opportunities because when you build a profile for yourself, more things come your way, more ideas, you meet new people. All you're doing is you're looking around at things when sometimes the very thing that you've got just needs straightening out.
Oh, and looking after and nurturing.
And looking after.
And, we at Rayner Personnel, we have lots of opportunities that come our way to diversify. And I work with a amazing entrepreneur.
You do.
Who
do you
loves...
sometimes have to say, Josh, just hang on a second. We are going in this direction, and if we stay on this course, we're going to get to that place that you want to get to faster than if we carry on going across different diverse platforms. Or do you just let him do his thing and stay out of his way?
Plan B, yes. Yeah, which is plan A.
You can't clip with creative wings.
No, because Josh has created an incredible business that is now being created again and growing in stature, and that's down to the franchisees who run with the ball and take the baton and are creating businesses in their own areas. People like Alex Bryant, who
great guy.
He's a go-to recruiter for East Anglia now, and he's created that, which is exactly what we want. But Josh has moved away from the mainstream of Rayner Personnel, enabling him to be
creative, free
and creative. And he is an absolute recruiter at heart, and an entrepreneur.
Oh, 100%.
And those two people wrestle with each other on a daily basis.
I'm the same as Josh in that area. I find it hard to focus in one direction when you've got so many different ideas.
But he also wants the best for a candidate and wants the best for a client. So if someone approaches him and he passes them out and they're not picked up and dealt with within seconds, that quite rightly frustrates him.
Yeah.
Because he would deal with it
straight away
in seconds.
Yeah.
that's not how you build a business.
Well, let's pick into today's challenges that I think maybe are. And one of them we've just said is just simplify it.
Yeah.
Whatever your business is at the minute, just simplify it.
And it must be difficult because when I went to Property Mark 1, I'm going to the Kerfuffle conference and various things. If I'm an estate agent and you as an estate agency business owner, you must walk around and think, which one of these do I need?
Well, there's so many great ideas that don't get implemented anyway. Yeah. So I think the trouble is if you're constantly in a state of distraction, you're not focused. Yeah. If you're not focused, you're really not doubling down on the thing that you could and getting the results that you deserve if you do so. But I'll just going back to a question that was, I was talking to somebody about the other day about the number of young adults entering the industry. And, I say young adults, let me say I'm going between, 18 and 25, which is where most of us, including yourself.
Yep, started.
We started.
Yep.
Are those doors closing or are they opening?
We don't recruit trainees, so we're not in that space, mainly because companies don't want us to. They won't pay a fee for a trainee. They can often they're from friends of friends or people known within the industry.
It's not your market.
It's not our marketplace, no. So we're 3-bed semis and above rather than 2-bed terraces and 1-bed flats. But it's interesting. I had this conversation with my son-in-law who I was away with last week. His business is very much all about 18-year-olds, apprentices train them. And they look at their staff profile. They've got some incredible good managers. And then they've just brought up so many good people, which is how Spicerhaart built its business. That's how I joined. The minimum wage now, we're seeing more estate agents thinking, well, I've got to pay this person £25,000 to £28,000, whatever, be it top up or a bonus or a guarantee. Yeah, I can get 2 years experience for the same money. So
that's where I was going to get to.
That's what's killing him. And if you talk to Tracy Dumont, Harrison Wood Lettings, she's a massive advocate. Apprentice, train, coach, develop. They'll stay with me for life.
And I think what you've got to have is the infrastructure for that.
Yeah,
which is where maybe some companies, it's not something that they can do because they haven't got the infrastructure to do the training, the development, and everything else.
I think they get distracted as well. I think a lot of companies will be, you come to us, we'll join. We've got this amazing training program. It's going to take you all the way through, and then abort levels go up to 35%. The government announce a change in process. Exchanges take longer. Training teams get cut.
Why does training always get cut first?
Short term fix. Just a short term fix. I think it'll come down to whether the business truly believes in training or believes it should have a training department.
Agreed. Yeah.
When we were running conferences at Spicerhaart, the last one that I had was at Milton Keynes, 2 days at the stadium, and Tom Ferry.
I remember you doing this.
Came to speak. We had Tom Ferry and Tom Panos on, two big
names,
characters, big names. And Tom Ferry was flown from London. He wouldn't stay in Milton Keynes. I'm sure he couldn't. I might be corrected. He wouldn't stay in Milton Keynes, so he was flown to Milton Keynes from London.
Understandable.
Yeah. And he, I was backstage with Tom, and he had a runner with him constantly called RJ, which is quite interesting because everyone calls me RJ, so it was very confusing at the back. And he said, right, a couple of questions before I go on, Russell. How much are people paid to be here? And I said, nothing. He said, what basic wage, what wage are they on? And I said, well, the average wage here will be, I don't know, 25 to 30,000, because it was managers and above level. And he said, why have you got them alcohol on the tables? 3 things. He said, so if you want to prove your business, get rid of the basic salaries and make people pay to come here.
Yeah.
And definitely don't have alcohol.
Yeah.
And it's pretty true. And you would have experienced that from Arik, wouldn't you? And going over to
100%. Tom Ferry was brilliant at Arik, I must say. But you see, the thing is, and I can't remember who said it. It's like the station could be the lowest paid, hardworking job out there, or the best and the most rewarding. And I can only testify for that, because a career that I've had since the age of 19 on a $6,000 basic to where I sort of sit today. You do get out what you put in,
but you're not on a basic, are you? That's the whole point. This is my whole self-employed. I look at the entrepreneurs that have gone off and opened their own businesses. They were the pioneers of self-employed estate agency.
They were. It's not a new thing, right?
Yeah, you've gone and said, right, I've had enough. Open.
I want to do it my way.
Yeah. So I'm going to live on baked beans. And I'm all in. I'm even worse than that. I'm going to sign a lease, which means that I'm
trapped,
totally committed. I'm totally committed, and now I'm going to employ people.
Yeah,
and that for me is where the worry for me is those agents at the moment who are in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 20th. I mean, we use a piece of kit at Rayner Personnel that tells us the stock levels of every agent in every single town, city, across the whole country. And I wouldn't go to court with it, but it's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Gives you
give me a good indication who the top agents are in St Neots, who are in St Ives, who are in Cambridge. And when you go down there, you think, my God, how are these businesses surviving? And I think they're the ones that will worry. But the top 3, 4, 5, I think the public in times of market uncertainty just will decamp to those agents. And those brands need to do themselves the service to charge what they're worth, to enable to pay their staff what they're worth, and give the public the service that they need.
Well, it's so interesting, like you said about what Tom Ferry said at the conference about what's the salary, if people had to pay to attend and there's alcohol on the table. And it was really interesting that you asked that before he went on as well.
Yeah.
And he probably wasn't overly surprised.
Yeah.
Now, Hart back then,
there wasn't a 9 o'clock in the morning alcohol.
By the way.
But I think there was probably in people's systems.
But the Hart back then, there was a period where I could see from the outside looking in that there was a lot of investment going on in that type of.
The culture was driven from. When I look back, I think one of the errors that was made was blending a conference with an awards.
Gotcha.
When we had a raw awards event, so you were going for a celebration. When you blend learning with celebration, and we have it now, same thing at Rayner Personnel. We have just changed that our team meeting for July will be a team meeting online, and then we'll have just a pure summer celebration, summer party, because people take learning in different ways, but I think they don't take it in when they then go and have a great time.
Forget about everything.
So some of the we started our first group conference was in 2003 at Sopwell House, where Adrian Webster came and spoke, and that's when we brought every manager together, and that was a great feeling. And then we moved on to the brewery, had loads of events at the brewery, and this just drove a culture of winning, where you'd have everyone say, I'm going to be on that stage next year. Okay, do you really want to be on that stage next
inspiring.
year? Let me talk to you about how you will get on. So it gave you a good platform. But they were great days, and some incredible people.
It's great to hear a bit more about behind the scenes though, and all of that kind of stuff. And they're obviously Hart were in the news, if you like, in the industry news about the COVID situation when they I think you'd left by then by the sounds of it.
No, I was still on garden leave.
Were you?
Yeah.
When they literally sent a load of emails out to people and said, see you later.
Yeah, no, I wasn't in the business at that point. So
yeah, I mean, that was
I got a lot of messages.
Pretty big PR flop, but culturally that was what I was shocked by is that was a very different action than the amount of investment they were making in people.
Yeah.
So at one point, it looked as a really good, strong, independent / corporate who really believe in investing in training, learning, and people, to then hit a roadblock, which everybody had to get to, and then just make such a sudden decision.
Yeah. I wasn't there. So I got a lot of calls and a lot of messages from people, but I also wanted to make sure when I left the business that if people wanted to reach out to me to help find a new career or a new opportunity, fantastic. I'd love to help you.
Yeah.
If they wanted to call me to moan about where they were, I can't help that.
No.
The decision is yours. Businesses have to make difficult decisions, and whether that was the right decision or wrong decision, you'll have to get Paul Smith on, Matt.
I'd love to get him on at some point and have a chat with him, because I think he ran a really good business.
He's still running a very profitable business from the accounts that came out.
And you've got to say, look, running a business, whatever you want to call it, it is not about being liked.
And everyone's got an opinion how you run it.
Absolutely.
You look at it. I mean, think of the early days of that business. Paul and Alec had their houses on their line. They were. Everyone started somewhere. Would he do that again? I don't know. Knowing Paul, he would say yes, because that's what he would say.
Well, I think you can only answer it in the moment.
Yeah.
Can't you?
Yeah.
And in the moment, a lot of us were making decisions in smaller businesses that we thought this is the right thing for us to do.
Yeah.
And with uncertainty, it's very easy to look back, isn't it?
Yeah.
And go, well, that was a bad move. That was a great move. I think the only decision is made is in the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
And you've got to live and die by that decision and be big enough to stand up, as I have many times ago. I got that wrong.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in the fact that you can move on from your mistakes faster if you own them, right?
Yeah.
So coming back to a couple of things, I think what I've really admired about what you've done is the relationships that you've maintained over the years. And did you know Josh before?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah, so Josh did some recruitment for us.
Right, okay.
We when Josh came out of LSL, I think it was, and he had a year away and he wanted to get back into recruitment, we did a retainer with Josh for a month, which helped him get up and running. Of course, he told me at the time it was the only retainer he was doing, but transpires there may have been a couple more, but he gets away with that, So, Josh, So when I met Josh and told him that he was doing recruitment for us. He recruited some very senior people into the Spicerhaart business, and towards the end of 2019, I had dinner with him just as our usual catch up, and I alluded that I may be thinking it was time for me to move on for the next 10, 15 years of my career.
What was kind of, just quickly before you go into that, what took you to that place where, because when you're in a place for such a long time, it can be even harder to move away from it.
There was I struggled to fit into the. I'm not going to call what's another word for corporate? But it's a corporate. The structured box. Yeah. I struggled. I believed in certain structures, and I still believe in a lot of structure now. We have some very core structures that you have to follow. But I was used to operating in that space.
And it was shrinking.
It was shrinking. And I worked with Andrew Ben very closely. And Andrew, in running the lettings business at Spicerhaart, Andrew, had got a spreadsheet, a system for everything that was working very, very well. And I was encouraged to go and have dinner with Andrew one night about to talk about how he does things and what I should learn from Andrew. So we went for dinner, and the first thing he said when we sat down was, "Just to let you know, I've tendered my resignation."
Wow.
And I was like, right, okay. Well, I've come here to learn about what we go. So we didn't learn much that night. We had a lovely steak and chips
and natural chat.
And I thought, well, it's hard because I'd grown up there from the start to the end. Always thinking one day I will get a big slice of the pie, a share, or this will give me more than a salary and the wonderful life that I was having. I thought, well, Andrew, when he joined, he was given a really tough selection process, of which I was part of, and he was very determined in this is what he was going to achieve, the outcome of this, and he was a big 7 Habits disciple, and he was like, "Oh, Russell, by the age of 50, I want this. By the age of 55, I'm going to be doing this, and Spicerhaart is going to be the vehicle to help me get there. Or if it won't, I'm going to go somewhere else and find it myself."
Yeah.
And this just dawned on me, thinking, yeah, okay, that's very interesting that he's seeing that route, and running a very profitable part of the business. At the same time, the business was completely restructuring, which I was a part of, and I just agreed to take over what was going to be called Chapter 1, I think it was at the time, which was blending almost Essex, all my original offices, and coming up the A1 a bit. So brilliant business, something I can get my hands completely around, 60 branches, wonderful sales, lettings, financial services, new homes. But I'm gonna have lots of fun with this. This will be great. But then I did some budget meetings, pushed a few boundaries to see if I was able to make impact and decisions. And I went to a board meeting, or a senior team meeting on the 19th, I think, in November. I can't remember the exact day. I looked around the table and I thought, there's some lovely people here, but I just don't know if I want to work with them for the next 10 years. And I don't know if they're all here for the same reason as me. And everyone had an opinion on me as well, Matt. But I thought, I've got to take control of my next 10 years. No. I just thought maybe I've outstayed this. I remember going to breakfast one morning with Paul, and he said to me, "Russell, you've changed. I don't know who you are anymore," or something like that.
Wow, that's quite a big statement.
I was thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm rushing off to parachuted into Butters John B to, do some jazz hands and make things. And I was criticised quite often for being too nice. And I just thought, are some people that I've compromised out of the business and dismissed and sacked or disciplined.
Did you find you were doing? Did it just dawn on you that maybe that wasn't really who you were?
Yeah, I thought I was going to have to play a role, a person I wasn't.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be.
I think as you grow, you're more mature, not older.
Yeah.
You tend to take your tolerance level for trying to put on an act or to try and be someone that you're not.
My team weren't delivering the results that we'd all signed up to deliver.
Yeah.
So, we were as guilty as pointing fingers at it being everyone else's fault rather than us.
Yeah.
So, we need to own the problem, and we wanted to own the problem, but everybody had an opinion on that, what the problem was. And I just
Was that a tough period?
It was tough. No, it wasn't. 2019 wasn't the toughest year I had, because I almost had got to the point in my own mind. I knew that me and Sarah were both 50 that year. We had lots of amazing things planned.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I think I need to make a change. I need to go and do something. She backed me completely, and said, whatever you want to do it. She threw herself into COVID, when I hadn't got a job. I'd been let go from garden leave and hadn't agreed to start with Josh. She threw herself into being on the telephones for the hospitals, for people being let go from hospital on COVID, make sure they got their care packages, worked tirelessly to bring some money in. And I said to her, look, I know if I work as hard as I have done for Spicerhaart on my own and on myself, we will not fail.
Yeah.
And that first month when you haven't got you're paying for your mobile phone, you're paying for your car. I hadn't got a car. I had to go and borrow a car. Luckily, one of my great friends said, well, look, I've got a car sitting, go and take it. Some big old BMW, 15-year-old chugger that I used for 3 months. And it was the people around who cheered me on, helped, supported, that made you think, yeah, great, but people cheering you on doesn't pay the bills.
No.
And the life lessons that doing what we've done at Rayner Personnel in the last 6 years have been fantastic. But you should ask the people around me probably rather than the me map. So yeah, I want to help people achieve their goals and ambitions, and that's my dream. And I could not be doing through COVID. I used to go cycling with two of my friends. We used to go cycling, get our 45-minute break, and that was the second COVID period. And Ian, my great friend Ian, would say, "I bet you both wish you'd done this sooner." And I can honestly say I don't.
No, I've been asked that.
Because I maybe outstayed my time by a year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change too much. I think the only thing I would have changed is being a bit more determined on a share.
Yeah.
Because if I'd been a new boy coming in as an MD level, I think I would have negotiated my contract slightly harder than someone who's grown up with a business the whole time.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? But what would you say then if you look back over your 30, did you say 38 years?
I'm worried. I think I might go have a lie down this afternoon.
Well, I know.
I can have an afternoon nap.
You are in this weather. What would you say has been your maybe biggest career failure? What happened and how did you tackle it and deal with it and move on from it, which you clearly have?
I just took on too much.
Okay.
I never said no.
That's a really interesting one.
I back to that point we had earlier of, do I need to keep climbing up the ladder?
Yeah.
If you ask that of other people around me, is that I wouldn't take any advice. I knew best. And I probably did. And
the switch up moment was the Stephen Covey.
Yep. That was the biggest,
big
pivotal moment. And people were fascinated. It was funny. We had a lot of advisors that came in that just would find, a bit like everyone outside of Spicerhaart, find it quite fascinating. So you'd go to get your business development session from a guru, an advisor, and they'd spend 35 minutes of your hour questioning about, why does the business do this or do that? And you think, well, if you want to know that, go and speak to the business owner.
Yeah.
I'm here for personal development. And
I think one of the most. I'm just talking about that. It's really it really hits home that I was in that place for a very, very long time, and I think it's possibly because I started at a young age in the company, and the company. It's weird when you grow up in a town like St Neots. It was huge when I was younger, but it's very small now.
Yeah.
London was like scary.
Yeah.
And I see London as small now because I've travelled the world.
Around it, yeah. Yeah.
And I think your mind really doesn't open up because if you're surrounded by people that want to shrink it down, you tend to find you've got two choices. And the choices are, do I continue to shrink myself? Or do I have the courage to fucking break the box open and decide where I want to go? And I think for everyone, even running your own business, I think in our industry as well, being a people pleaser or you're trying to help everybody because that's how you're kind of rewarded for that.
I was told regularly I was too close to my people, the team, and I just never saw that because I just thought we're a people business. That's where we are. Yeah, and some people let me down, and that's disappointing. I let people down, and that's disappointing myself. But I still talk to so many people that I've worked with over the years, and get lovely messages dropped in. So yeah, I'm quite happy that I'm.
Just on that though, because when I listen to Shane talk about you on Simon's podcast, so I can see you've been a big influence on his career. Mm-hmm. Who's been your biggest influence on your career?
Alec was a huge influence. So Paul was a huge influence. The marketing brilliance that came out of Spicer McCall, original Spicer McCall, Spicerhaart. I wouldn't take anything away from those influences. A property developer, when we broke into East London, and we started East London, we opened in Felicity J. Lord. We started working with a company called Furlong Homes, who then became a business called Telford Homes. And David Furlong was one of 13 children. Him and his brother Jim were Furlong Homes, and the other brother Ken. And we Warren Black, who was the manager of the Wapping office, had managed to break into working with Furlong Homes. And we spent quite a bit of time with David from then for the next sort of 5 or 6 years. And David was a big influence to me in how you dealt with people and how you dealt in the London market. But, David, Alec, Paul, my first ever manager, John Palmer, who's still a great friend, massive influence. Tony Beals, I have to tell, because otherwise he'll tell me off. Me and Tony went to open Felixstowe office together. We used to travel to Felixstowe, so he'd be throwing I'd say, let's play this cassette, and he'd throw it out the window because he wanted heavy rock. Driving.
Yeah,
so Tony was me.
What a lovely guy.
Sean Candler, who's the guy that actually, and still, I was his best man, he was my best man. Still great friends today. He's the one who got me into agency. So meeting along the way, Adrian Webster, Clive Woodward. Brilliant. I've taken stuff from
loads of different people.
Yeah, and I probably sponge a bit too much.
But you said earlier that you were probably always right. Were you stubborn?
Yeah, I was a cocky little shit.
Okay, but just on that, what made you go from being stubborn and fairly closed, maybe in terms of accepting criticism, advice, whatever, to then being open?
I put it down to 7 Habits.
I thought you might say that. I just wanted to just check, because there's a defining moment for most people when it comes to personal development. Yeah. As in, when you've been in a corporate structure, let's call it, and you've learned the way that they do it, you then become institutionalized to a degree. Yeah. And by the way, that's completely understandable, because if you want to build a business, it's very hard to build it if everybody's doing what the fuck they like. And you have to have a structure. There has to be a structure. There has to be boundaries. It has to be clear. But I always feel like people at different stages of life reach a point where the light goes off. Goes on, and the mind turns on to things that matter most. And I heard you at the start of this sort of mention that there was time that you maybe lost in your career for the stuff that was outside. Yeah. And you've just been away and had a great trip. And this it's such a hard thing to change, but you can learn from it, right? Yes. Yeah. And I think that what I've sort of noticed with yourself, more so since maybe I've got to know you working with Josh, is that it very much feels like this is who you are now. Yeah, this is the real. That's it. Well, that's what. Not that I don't think it was before, because I didn't really know you before. There's probably. I never get a thought that this is a bit of a show. I don't think that. It was. I still don't get it right. I missed the birth of my 3rd grandchild last week, but when they're popping out grandchildren, you can't always be around. No, and Oscar was a week early, so but it's very. I was definitely becoming. And I remember one of my great regional directors saying to me, and friends, and she's still a good friend now, you've changed. And I maybe I had for the worse, or I was trying to be the good, toe the line. But when you've been an independent operator for so long, it's very hard to become those wings clipped. And in our business now, me and Josh, we have lots of fun when it's time to have fun, and when it's time to do the work, we do the work. Yeah, you can see that, and you definitely see those. And obviously, we can't have 2 Russells and we can't have 2 Joshes. Well, I was about to say the 2 Russells just coming on to the 3rd best podcast in the property industry. Quirky. He did one without me last week. Did he really? Yeah, terrible. My fault. It is his political field now. Well, do you think he will make Prime Minister? Well, I keep sending him messages, little images of Prime Minister
Number
Quirk.
10.
He's getting closer, right?
He is getting closer, yes. Yeah.
my prediction is he'll leave reform at some point. But anyway.
Whispered that, did you?
I did, because I think Russ is actually, if you don't know him and you've got an opinion on him, he's a very straight guy.
Yep.
And I really admire him for that. The first time I met him, he just told me all the reasons why it failed.
Yeah.
Where he was before, because we were talking about it, because I know we had a mutual friend. But what I really like about him, he works his absolute socks off.
Yeah.
And he's prepared to put himself out there.
Yeah.
He is off camera as he is on camera.
Yeah, he's the real
deal.
And
I think that's the bit I think that will take him the furthest, because I think with politics, what you see off camera isn't who you see on camera.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bit that I'm pretty sure of Russ. I can't see him ever changing that, and I don't see why he should.
No.
But I see that when you're in big, growing political parties, it feels to me like it's probably a bit like being in a corporate estate agency.
Yeah.
Your opinions can take you further away from the top than they can.
To the top. I think there was a post on LinkedIn yesterday from Rishi Sunak saying, the advice of making sure on day one you make some decisions and you take immediate action.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, it's a very, very good post in getting there is part of the job. It's actually what you do the day you go there.
Literally the day.
Yeah. Which again, in a business, isn't it? If I was going to take over an office today, it's the time you get there.
I love that analogy earlier about clear it all out, take all the furniture out, take all the people out. Right, who do we put back in?
Yeah.
And I think that's the same if you're running a country. Your cabinet's probably one of the examples, right? But going back to the point about you guys being the third best podcast, we're out on a soiree soon, aren't we?
We're trying hard. Yes, next week. Yes.
Well, we'll.
Are you doing beer by the river here?
Do you know what? I shouldn't I? Who'd want to come though? I don't know. I have to get. But no,
we've got rosé by the river.
Rosé by the river, or beers by the bridge.
Yeah, beers by the bridge.
There you go. So we've been chatting away about different things today, and one of the things was about recruitment. And I obviously I'm quite fascinated about recruitment because it's an integral part of running a successful business, and I always believe you should never really stop. As a business, recruiting. But when was the last time you were asked questions about you as a person in terms of how a recruiter would ask them? So, I'm going to flip it back just a second. Roles reversed just for a second. On a scale of 1 to 10, how coachable are you today?
7.
7.
7 to 8.
Where's the gap?
Still a little bit of I know better. But I'll be doing so outside of work. I've followed a coaching plan in the gym, and I haven't missed one session, ticking off every single one of them. So I'm very good there. Then on the other side of that was a meal plan, which I've been very good at to a point.
Okay, love that.
So I would take that. I'll dial into lots of different seminars and AI sessions and things like that at the moment, just to try and understand a little bit. But people need to grab my attention quite quickly.
Is it because I think we were just saying, sometimes it's just repeatable messages.
Yes.
Yeah. When was the last time you received direct feedback?
Sunday. Yeah. I think last night I receive direct feedback every morning when I go for a pee in my downstairs toilet, where Sarah bought a picture that sits above the toilet that is a picture of a chicken that says "Don't be a cock." And
What about difficult feedback?
Last one, an exiting franchisee in a hotel in Newbury gave me some extremely direct feedback, which I said, "Thank you, I'll take that on board."
Yeah.
And to which he said, "No, you won't." So I kind of thought, what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I value feedback.
Yeah. But I think most people avoid it though.
Yeah.
especially in our industry.
I think that's the whole piece around one-to-ones. I never cracked one-to-ones, and I never cracked fully 10 out of 10 team meetings. I think I got high 8s, but a one-to-one, a really good one-to-one where it's actually for the person, and you're actually going to talk about them and
needs.
You're going to talk about where we're wanting to get to and where you want to get to, and really have an open, good conversation about it. I think I don't know if anyone has cracked that yet, because there's always some
an agenda.
Grange Hill sausage coming in.
Oh, the Grange Hill sausage
that comes boom.
Ollie, you wouldn't have a clue what we're on about, right?
But,
you wouldn't have a clue about that. But yeah,
I used to have meetings with people, and they'd come in the book, and I had a terrible habit of reading what's on their page. But we'd have a difficult chat about XYZ office, so they'd not talk to me about those points. But I knew those points were really important to them, so I used to say, okay, well, we've dealt with that. That's one piece. Move on. Let's talk about these things that are important to you. And maybe I didn't always get there, but I always felt this is, you've got to go away with value. I've got to go away with value. We cannot just sit here for goodness knows how long. Which is where I think things like Applaud nowadays are really, really good. But that's an interesting concept, because again, I had this conversation with my son-in-law saying, you should get Applaud when you're doing your one-to-ones. So he's in an estate agency. And he said, what? So every word's recorded? And I said, no. So that actually leaves you free to talk, knowing that everything is being
you haven't got to make notes.
Recorded, actions are being taken. So it's done for you.
I was talking to one of my,
how do you do one-to-one?
Well, I don't really do them very often. I mentor my directors every couple of weeks. And then their job is to do the same with the agents. But I always used to struggle with one-to-ones because there was always an agenda. Yeah. And actually the main agenda really is helping that person leave better than when they arrived.
And help them achieve their goal at the end of it.
Absolutely. And if you stick to that format, you can't really go wrong. But the trouble is, and I was talking to one of my directors about this the other day, is he's more focused on his needs being met than in reverse. And it's not because he's a bad person, because his intentions are to help the person. So he's always had good intentions. But they know he's selling an idea back to them. Yeah. And that can create a lack of honesty sometimes.
The problem in organisations, maybe as well, is that you want to be hyper-local, don't you? So you want to be hyper-local in your marketplace.
Yeah.
So if I was going to see Nick Walsham in Barnsley, if I'm truly going to go and see him and have value in that conversation, I need to listen to, he wants to sponsor the Mossborough Fair. He wants to have a what's it called? Can't think of the word. Through the streets with the
parade.
Not parade. They're not called parades, are they? God, it's gone out of my. Go through towns, big trucks.
Oh, like there's. You're on about like the sponsored thing?
Yeah. Going when
advertising.
Yeah, when towns come together and
right.
My mind's lost in Australia, in America. Sorry.
What's that, Ollie? What would that be? Anyway,
it's not a fate, is it?
No,
but anything like that, they want to do it. And we
fair.
It's not fair, is it? Carnival. So street carnival. So they want to have a float in the carnival, and you're like, well, okay. So saying yes, do it. Gave you so much deposits in the emotional bank account of Nick Walsham that when you came away. So when that sort of stuff got cancelled because so-and-so office over there is not doing so well, the value of going to a one-to-one for that person became for me a little bit limited, because you're ending up going, we can't do that, can't do that. And that's all they want. Yeah. And actually, if you spend X amount of pounds on there and their team, it's got so much value. They're going to dress up, they're going to go. It's incredible. Be part of their community. And I think, it's something that must be so hard for big organisations to empower that area director role to be able to make the right decisions,
so they've got autonomy
for the local marketplace and have autonomy. And my old chairman, John Spence, another inspirational man, would say the price of independence is performance. And if you really run with that theory, I think you'll have a very successful business. And
I love that.
the other book that Stephen Covey's son wrote, which is about that big, called The Speed of Trust, is so good.
Make some notes. We're going to have this on record, so we're definitely looking. I love that. The speed
of trust.
Okay, so we've got a good one there. Good recommendation.
Yeah.
Look, we've had a really great chat. There's so much that we haven't discussed that I thought we would, which is typical, isn't it? It is typical. But going back, like to, let's say, COVID, is there one belief you had at that point that you've completely changed on now, just 6 years later?
It's funny to say, not funny to say this, but COVID is a bit of a blur to me in that period. I don't really know
what
why.
happened.
Yeah, we had I was joining Rayner Personnel. I was mentoring and doing a sort of Ned role with David Lee, helping them migrate to the self-employed model, which I really enjoyed, and working with them. I was helping Shane and Mark. I was helping Spencer and Perry. I was helping John Foster. I was helping various people, Jack Adams, lots of different people through their business. So I was keeping very busy whilst obviously helping Rayner Personnel grow its footprint, but people weren't really recruiting as much as previously. So, I mean, it helped us pivot and shift our business away from a head office because working from home became the norm. We've never gone back. We've got a central hub in London that we use, and it really changed the dynamics of our business from being that one-to-one people contact, whereas people are much happier now to do Teams with us, do things over the phone. But I can't. I saw the value of life firsthand, through losing some close people. So
you do. You really do, don't you?
It was. I think it really taught me what was important to me, and that wasn't lots of material things. There were some nice things, but not everything. And family.
Yeah.
My daughter, we became empty nesters during COVID, and that was very strange.
Yeah. I've talked to my wife about that not long ago. Share about that. That's going to happen at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an interesting.
So he said, I'm going to go to Michael's, and that'll be where I go.
Oh,
so I was like, okay. They used to come back for their 45-minute walks and exercise, but and this is a brand new relationship for them as well. So you're thinking, wow, and through COVID, for 4 months before I started with Rayner, Sarah was working every single day, and I learned that I couldn't paint. I wasn't very good at DIY, so I needed to get a job so I could afford to pay people to do these things.
The jobs.
Yes. Yeah.
What's the best bit about the two Russells that you do? We touched on it earlier, but I think you guys seem to really enjoy doing that.
That's I have every year I have a list of things that I want to achieve, and I do them in blocks of 5 years. So it's this year, but overall there's a 5 year. So from 50 to 55, written on my phone, I have all the things that we want to try and achieve. And that was started in COVID in May, where me and Sarah just literally wrote down things that we wanted to achieve, and then align all the things we do to those. Do they help us get to that goal? And one of the things I wanted to do was a podcast.
Nice.
And then I kept thinking, shall I do it myself? And then we had breakfast with Russell and Josh, talking about Josh's 15 years or 20 years in recruitment. I can't remember what it was. And I said, Russell, I really think of doing a podcast. He said, funny that, I'm thinking of doing a podcast. And he said, we should do it together. Call it The Two Russells.
There you go.
And he's been a great coach to me in being in front of the microphone and questioning and talking. And one of the things that I've got to make sure I do, because he's so good at it, it's natural, is that it's not the 1 1/4 Russell show. So to make sure that there's a balance, and that, Russell's got some very strong beliefs, and I don't necessarily believe in those
Same
things. Yeah,
no, that's good.
So it's been great to get guests, and we've delved very much into people
Stories.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed that. And I mean,
your
about,
podcast, yours was, we talked hardly at all about estate agency.
Yeah. And I think that for me, because that's kind of like the tip of the iceberg, I think so much about the success of someone within our industry falls backwards into who they are, their identity, their self-development as well.
The Two Russells podcast has taught me through the 57 episodes. I think it's 7 more than you.
We've got that in the bank, though. We've got that in the bank.
We've got it in the can. We're filming on Thursday.
Quickly get all of ours out.
Yeah, is pretty much every person that has come on that podcast has had a setback, and it should just encourage people to try what they want to try.
Yeah.
And if it goes wrong,
so
don't worry about it.
So what?
Don't worry about it. Go again, and go again.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's great advice for anyone. And if you are interested in watching, it's the Two Russells. It's on Apple, Spotify, and all of
YouTube,
those places.
All those places.
But, Russell, it's the first time we've probably sat down and had a proper conversation.
Without Chinese food.
Without Chinese food, without Josh Rayner, without Russell Quirk, and all of the rest of the crew. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have too.
Oh, I loved it. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for travelling here today and
no problem
spending time with us. Thanks for watching. And if you've got any questions for Russell about recruitment or your needs in regards to even getting some advice as a business owner, he's your man. You can hear it today, and you should get in contact. Best place to find you is probably on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yeah. All my numbers are on there. Or if you want some humour, follow me on Instagram. Because
with his Monday motivation.
Make Mondays matter.
There you go. Look, thank you for watching. It's been brilliant. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I'll see you on the next one.